right, here we are with another episode of On the DELO, right? We're in the studios of the DELO today, and I have a very special guest who I've gotten to know over the years, Camilla.
Very good.
All right, did I do it right?
Yes.
I had to over-pronunciate because as we were talking, how many people call you Camilla?
Countless.
Countless.
I just don't correct them.
And where's the origination from the name? Did your family ever tell you, or is it just like, because it's very unique and it's beautiful?
Oh, thank you. I think the origination was that I was named after one of my grandma's favorite nuns.
Really?
Because at that, like, Camilla's a very popular name right now, but
Yeah.
when I was born, it was not.
Yeah.
And so, that's it. I think my parents just liked the name.
Yeah, they probably just thought it
Yeah.
was very cool. And then how do you pronounce your last name correctly?
Correctly?
Yeah.
Alarcon.
Ah. So where does that come from? Like what sort of background, heritage?
So my whole family is Chilean.
Okay.
And most of us don't live in Chile anymore. I immigrated here with my parents when I was 4, and then I have a whole bunch of family that lives in Barcelona, and I have family in Ecuador, Argentina, and like various other countries as well.
So English is a second language?
Second language.
No shit.
Yes.
Whoa. All right, so for those of you that haven't read show notes yet, or the title of what I'll probably put in here, you're an attorney.
Yes.
Yeah. And English is your second language.
It is.
So, okay. So tell me a little bit. Do you remember any of your like childhood and migrating over here and like, or is it just kind of like you were a child and you were here?
So I don't remember a whole bunch before I came to the United States because I was 4.
Yeah.
And I read years ago, and I'm not sure if this is accurate, but when you don't, like, memory and language go hand in hand. And so obviously I was speaking Spanish for the first couple of, first few years of my life. And there's just something that, like, I actually don't have a very good memory of kindergarten or anything like that. And I think most people do have a good memory. Like, from second grade on,
I do,
like,
yeah.
I'm pretty good. So, and that's, like, by first grade is when I really got the hang of English and so forth.
Yeah.
So, because I immigrated here in the early 80s, and so there wasn't, like, any English as a second language or anything like that. I was just sort of, like, thrown into school and, like, hey, you're in kindergarten with a language you don't understand, and good luck.
That's crazy. Do you still speak your first language?
Yes, I can speak Spanish, not nearly as good as I could speak English, because in my house, like, the whole goal was to get all of us to speak English perfectly.
Right. And the reason for your parents to come over here and bring you was just for a better life, or?
Yeah, pretty much. My dad got into a PhD program at Ohio University, so that's where we went first. Okay. And he still is a professor at ASU.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's a nuclear physicist. I'm not joking.
Okay, this is all making sense now. This is why I do these podcasts, so I can understand why people are who they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
It is. It's great, actually.
So did the U.S. just kind of like, did he apply for something and the U.S. is like, we got to get these people over here. Like, we need the smarts.
Yes. I think back then the visa situation was, it was very different. He had a sponsor from the university that was like, this guy needs to be in our PhD program.
Yeah.
And so that's how he came over here.
Okay. And where did you grow up?
So we lived in Athens, Ohio till I was 8 or 9. And then we moved to Champaign, Illinois. And then...
So you've been warm your whole childhood.
Yeah.
You come to the desert and thaw out.
Yeah. So in junior high, we came here.
Okay.
When I was 13.
Okay.
And then I lived here, and then I went to Boston for college and law school, and then I came back.
Yeah. Okay. And
Because Arizona's awesome.
was it Boston that you met your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How is the handsome young man?
Oh, he's wonderful.
Yeah?
Absolutely wonderful.
Tell me your love story. Like, what was it? Were you guys just kind of, did you have a class together? Did you?
We actually didn't have a class together. So we went to law school together.
Yeah.
We were both first years in the same year, so we were like law school sweethearts.
Okay. Very cool.
I think that's a thing. And his roommate was, so law school's divided in sections. So you have section A, section B, section C, and I was section B.
Okay.
B? Yeah. I don't know. I sort of took out all of law school from my memory.
Yeah.
So everything before I was 6 and law school.
Okay. It's just kind of blank. Yeah.
But no, his roommate was in my section, so then I met him. I'm like, I like this guy.
Yeah, I like this guy. So you saw it, you went for the kill. You're like, okay, this is what I'm
And
getting.
apparently he liked me too. So it all worked out very well.
Yeah. And then as you had made mention, Arizona is awesome. So what is it about Arizona and just the localness about it that you love so much?
I mean, my whole life is here. My whole community is here. My family is here. I grew up here. You get to spend lots of times outdoors, which is like one of my favorite things to do. And I mean, I've seen this city. We've all seen this city, or a lot of us have seen this city grow up, and it's totally different than it was in the 90s. It's totally different than it was in the early 2000s. So I'm proud of what Phoenix has become and what Arizona has become, and I just really like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being a native myself, it's just like I'm so proud of it. Except for the liquor laws, which we'll get into in a minute.
All right.
So you're an attorney. You go to law school. You graduate. You come back out here. What's your first stint? What's your first gig?
So my first stint was I worked at Community Legal Services, which provides legal aid to socially disadvantaged people, or economically disadvantaged people.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that was my first stint. I did some family law. I represented some farm workers. And then I moved to the Attorney General's office, where I represented the Department of Liquor, and then this all happened.
Okay. So the Attorney General office, explain what that means to people that just don't even know.
So the Attorney General's office they do a few different things, but most relevant to me is that it's the office that represents all of the state agencies.
Okay.
So when the state needs a lawyer, they have the Attorney General's office for the most part.
And the AG that you worked under?
Was Terry Goddard.
Terry. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then Tom Horn for a little bit, but then I left.
And then you left after that. Gotcha. I have an AG that lives in my neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what neighborhood you live in, and I know what I know.
Around the corner,
and I know who lives there.
His dog attacked my wife. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Anyway, another story for another time. Okay, so you're in the AG now. That's pretty young in your career, right?
Yeah. I was only about a 4-year attorney at that point.
Okay. Yeah. So you're kind of getting your roots in and your taste and all that, and then you literally got a taste for liquor.
Yes. Yeah. So I represented the department, and I represented other agencies.
Yeah.
So when I left the AG's office, I never really thought I was just going to do alcohol regulation, because I'm like, I've represented the medical board and the osteopath board. I know how to do all sorts of different things.
Yeah.
But it's where I got most of my work, and although I did a lot of other things prior to this year, I always had a good client base that was in alcohol regulation in some manner or another.
You kind of have like an affinity to that client base, right?
I do.
And good
I do.
relationship. Yeah. I mean, I can
I do.
totally relate because you and I
Yeah.
are one and the same in that sort of essence. And it's really hard to believe like that the liquor industry in Arizona really needs a lot of legal help and a legal counsel, as opposed to other states, which, you know, I've researched and studied, and I'm sure you know as well, where there's things called tort reform and cap on limits, and I don't know as much in detail as you do on the retail and the wholesale division of things, but I'm sure that's a whole nother can of worms out here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a lot more complicated than people give credit to.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I will say, like, in their defense, if you open up a restaurant and you get your liquor license and you're like, oh, I have to do my renewal and I can't serve anybody under the age of 21 and I can't serve anybody that's obviously intoxicated, and they're like very basic things.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, you probably don't need to talk to me very often. If you want to do like a complete corporate restructure of your business, then, you know, I can sort of guide you along a little bit on that. But where I really give most of my advice to is on the supplier and wholesaler side. And
Yeah.
that is the part that's the most complicated. That's not something that is logical or consistent or anything. It's just sort of a bunch of statutes, a bunch of rules, and then you sort of try to piece them together and say, like, okay, so I think this is the outcome, you know, you're looking for, and this is what allows you to do it or does not allow you to do it.
And does your mind or does your brain or the way that you work, does it allow you to be able to look at statutes and rules and kind of put them together and create some sort of sensible way of presenting a case to your client / the other client that you're trying to, you know what I'm saying, get to agree on stuff? I mean, how does your brain work? I always kid, and I'm not kidding, I call her the smartest person I know because she's so intimidating when you first meet her. And here we are, I've known her, I don't know, a handful of years, and now it's kind of funny because you're such a happy-go-lucky person.
Oh,
but you're always thinking, so I want to tap into your brain, like what's going on?
It does come very naturally to me. I think in a way, like I have good logic skills, and you know, for those of you that know what's on the LSATs, which is the test you take in to get into law school, there's a section called the games section, which is, you know, these 6 people go to the grocery store and they buy broccoli and potatoes and rice and blah, blah, blah. Who bought what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was always just really good at those kinds of puzzles. I'm like, oh, okay, so if Sally can't buy broccoli because like she's allergic to broccoli, then she either bought milk or rice or cantaloupe or something, and then like you just do this process of elimination. So yes, my brain does work like that.
Yeah, that problem right there is my worst fucking nightmare. Like every time I got that, I'm like, not doing it. You know what? Give me an F. It's like psychology of math. I mean, it's so weird, and you're right. It's logistics, and I mean, we're all built different, you know, in that essence. Yeah,
we are. So that part of it is pretty natural to me. I mean, and I also just really like my clients.
Yeah.
They're great people. So it's always a pleasure to help them and try to figure out stuff and solutions for them and so forth.
So, yeah, and you do representation, I would assume, for wholesalers and retailers, right? Mm-hmm. And then you also have standalone clients such as, you know, whether it be breweries or restaurants.
Yes.
And so give me like the top, I don't know, 2 cases that say a 12 or a 6 or, you know, whomever would utilize your services. Is it reading leases? Is it helping on a dram shop case? Is it none of those, but something else?
It's really, so for my wholesaler clients, you know, once we complete all of the licensing work, you know, it is really just about trade practices. Like, can I give a retailer this? Can I do, you know, if we do this event, am I allowed to bring these items? You know, how, I mean, the without getting into specifics, like the questions get pretty complicated pretty quickly. They're like, well, we we have this situation, and I can't really get too much into specifics,
Right.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
and then for restaurants, I mean, they're pretty easy. The application could get a little bit complicated, but most of my clients are, companies on the restaurant side that have like various locations and just really need, like, they just don't want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Your like small restaurant could probably do it themselves.
Right. So you just kind of deal with all the paperwork and red tape and things that
Yeah, and just make sure everything gets
flows through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So after the Attorney General office, you went to a private practice, or?
I did. I worked at a smaller firm for a few years in like a of counsel position, which just basically meant like I was just sitting there building my book of business. And then I moved as a lateral partner to Gamage and Burnham, where I was for 8 years, and I was a partner there.
Okay.
So that was, me working at a really good mid-sized firm for quite a few years.
And was it kind of an eat as you kill firm? Like people knew if it had to do with liquor? No? You would just had your own book and just worked out of there?
Well, I mean, I worked on a lot of other people's cases, and I did a lot of different administrative law kind of things with different agencies. No, it is a very collaborative bunch. So the whole point is, to grow the firm together.
Yeah.
But it's still a firm.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of hours.
Yeah. And so after 8 years there, you decided to go off on your own.
Yeah, I was good. I wanted to do something completely different with my life. So I like being an attorney. I like my clients, but I really wanted to do something different.
So what is that different? Like, what is it that you're doing now that you weren't doing before?
Well,
Besides working in your pajamas, maybe.
I don't really work in my pajamas because I get up early.
Yeah.
And one of my first goals of the day is to move. So
Cool.
I might be in leggings, but not really pajamas.
Yeah. I know you like yoga and
I do.
mean, all that
Yes.
activity stuff too. So do you do like a lot of your physical activity early in the morning?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I wake up around 5. It really depends. Today I woke up at 4:30.
Yeah.
So sleep is precious to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't do an alarm. I just get up when I am ready to get up.
Okay.
And, I do stuff around the house, and then maybe emails for an hour or so, and then I go work out.
Okay.
So-
Cool. What's your workout of choice?
Tennis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Which is not really a workout.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
Not club tennis, not in your 40s. It's not, like, I'm not sitting there like Sabalenka, just killing serves and, no. So.
Just out there, it's just kind of hitting around. But it's social and it's fun and
it's super fun.
Yeah.
And the one thing I love about tennis, because I've run for years and done yoga and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but tennis is, and there's a bunch of activities like this, is like when you're playing, all you're thinking about is like, where's that ball? How fast is it coming? What's the arc? Can I hit it?
Yeah.
And, you're not like, oh, I need to write this person an email. Because the second you do that is you miss it.
You're screwed, yeah. And that's the thing, correct me if I'm wrong, your interpretation, but that's the thing with running. Like, running, I came up with just thoughts all the time
Yeah.
of shit I had to do.
Which is great. Like,
Right, but then you forget.
Creatively, it's, but you're thinking when you're running.
Yeah.
I ran this morning, and I was like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, maybe if I do it this way,
Yeah.
In yoga, I know you're supposed to be like in a meditative state at the end. No, I'm thinking the whole time.
Right.
So, but tennis, no,
You gotta
you'll
think
miss
about
it.
that ball, where it's going. That's
you
right.
you will miss it, and it will look horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, running was good to me. I mean, I did it from the time I was like, 6 until I was, I don't know, just the last few years, and I quit cold turkey. I just think you get into your 40s and you either choose to just go down that road hard, you know, or you don't, or you just kind of like, I've had enough. And now I've gotten back into like, weight training and weights is kind of the same thing. Like when I'm doing, when I've got 50-pound dumbbells and I'm pressing, I'm not really thinking about the email I have to send. I'm thinking about not dropping it on my ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have started strength training.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, for the first time in my life.
Very
ever.
cool.
Yes, I love it. I think it's great.
Put muscle on at our age is perfect timing.
I think it's fantastic. It's lots of fun. It's hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot what the original question was.
Yeah, there's no question. We're just bullshitting about strength training. So are you strength training somewhere or?
Yeah. So I belong to the Village, and they have CrossFit classes.
Okay.
At the location at Gainey.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing those, but Phil and I my husband might join a real CrossFit gym.
Okay. That'd be fun.
Because we need to spend more money on
Of course,
exercise.
on more stuff. Yeah, and Phil's real name is Handsome Phil.
Yes,
and
that's true.
He loves the Penguins, if I remember correctly.
Yes, the Steelers.
The Steelers, yes.
Everything Pittsburgh.
Anything Pittsburgh relatable, you can always hit Phil up. Okay, so you get done working out, and then do you return home for your work day, or like eat some lunch? And
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I get back home and I work, all afternoon, and then it's the evening, and I'm, trying to figure out what to eat.
Yeah.
I'm like chasing protein all day.
Are you?
Yeah.
Dude, we just literally I was filming another podcast, and this a goji protein. It's a hemp protein.
Oh, nice.
Some of the cleanest protein. I mean, the guy was telling us about it. You have to listen to the podcast before yours, but. It's funny because I'm doing this fitness show and I'm chasing protein as well. Like you're just trying to get it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, and I don't have to eat that much of it.
No.
But I'm vegan, and so that makes it really hard.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's 15 grams in a scoop.
I noticed
or
it in
whatever.
I noticed it in your office.
And it dissipates. You can like put it in your coffee. You won't even know what's in there.
What?
Yeah. It's
that's great.
like I learned all about hemp and hemp protein.
Okay, I'm gonna take a look at it and listen to your podcast.
You'll have to check it out. And vegan. How when did you become vegan, and what kind of brought that on?
So I became vegan a few years ago, in August of 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't want to eat meat anymore. And then I learned how dairy was made, and then I was like, well, I'm never doing that.
I'm done. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
is your husband vegan?
No.
Okay.
Not even in the slightest.
Yeah. No. But you found your way around of how to like eat daily and get,
Yeah, we have
of.
like different meal tracks.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I mean, sometimes we'll make stuff together.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're always eating different things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we always have anyway. So it's just the way it's been.
With you coming home and finishing your day or whatever, like, do you have like a night routine? Do you do certain things to wind down? Do you guys watch TV together? Do you?
I mean, we go to bed really early.
Oh, I do too. 8 o'clock?
Yeah. 9. Yeah, I'm in bed by 9.
Right.
And usually asleep by 9:05.
Yeah. Well, you get up early enough. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that like my head hits the pillow
Same.
and I'm asleep.
What a gift. What a gift that we have.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
No, I mean now that the weather's getting nicer, the dogs will be going on a longer walk, which is nice for them.
Yes, it's perfect.
But no, it's just basically like real wind down, clean the kitchen, get everything ready for the next day. Just, maybe watch a little bit of TV here and there. I read a lot, so sometimes I read. Although that tends, at that point of the day, tends to put me like right to sleep.
Right to sleep, yeah. I was going to ask if you read a lot, if you kind of get into just different aspects of. I mean, do you read fiction? Is it?
Yeah, I read
Okay.
fiction.
Kinda
So I listen to nonfiction and I read fiction.
Okay.
Because nonfiction is usually not like super well written.
Yeah.
And it's very boring.
Very
But you get to learn a lot, so it's good.
Yeah.
So great to listen to.
No, it makes sense, and a lot in your career, I would assume, is reading a lot of nonfiction lost. It's like you probably want to break from all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Are there things that come top of your mind like that are like the craziest of crazy things that you've heard as far as like any sort of like, liquor liability issues or anything out there that comes to mind?
I mean, fortunately for me, I don't really get involved in the liability part of it.
Yeah.
But I do remember when I was an assistant attorney general, there we had to work on some pretty intense cases.
Yeah.
And that, usually just involves somebody consuming too much alcohol at a bar and then getting in a car accident.
Yeah.
Mostly just harming themselves. But there were a couple cases in which other people got harmed as well. But, and that's like the real serious, very unfortunate stuff that happens. But there's also like a whole bunch of really funny stuff that happens in bars all the time.
That is true. Yes.
So, that's at the end of the day, like pretty harmless, but there's like, I remember, and I'm sure if you ever have Craig Miller on your podcast, he has tons of stories. But
yeah.
I just remember these photos that he would, because he was, he was an investigator at the same time, and which I was an assistant AG, and so like he would have these cases of just like pictures of people like just very intoxicated, and it was like over service cases, and so I'm like, I think we could win in hearing that person is definitely overly intoxicated.
Yeah, no, exactly.
They're like passed out, and yeah.
What for you draws the line as far as an establishment being responsible on the aspect of neglect to, I don't know, the patron who has no money usually being responsible, yet they have no money to pay for the family or whoever they ended up hurting? I mean, it's kind of a weird dichotomy.
Yeah, I mean, we're all waiting for the Torres case to come down from the Supreme Court. I mean, I think that if you just go by what the statute says, I mean, there's nothing in the law that says like, oh, you should just sue whoever has the deepest pockets and hope for the best. I understand from a plaintiff's attorney standpoint of why you would want to do that, but that's not the law. The law is if you are a restaurant or a bar, you can't serve somebody that's under the legal drinking age, and you can't serve somebody that's overly intoxicated.
Right.
What happens after that is not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Just don't do those two things, and you've met your duty. And I don't like this whole situation in which, like, well, they went one place and then they went another place.
Yep.
And then they went someplace else, and maybe they went home and continued drinking, and then they got in a car accident, and all these people over here are liable. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
So, I mean, what I tell my clients is, do those two things. Card everybody, or, everybody that is in the remote possibility to be under the age of 21. So that's why people do everybody under 30 or everybody under 40. And don't serve people, don't overserve people.
Yeah.
And that's a hard one because, you can be fine, look fine,
right,
and you get served and you get up to go to the restroom 10 minutes later and you're a disaster.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, you just have to be really careful at that point.
It really is. It's like playing the lotto, hoping
Yeah.
that person doesn't drive home or something happens, because at the end of the day, the bar, restaurant, tavern, brewery, they're all going to be holding the buck, you know?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being.
For the time being, yeah, until, you know, but, you know, obviously in my industry, the way that it works, if there's something that's called an open claim on your record, it's like getting an F on your report card, and
Yeah.
it doesn't erase for 5 years, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's terrible. And you've asked me what I would do to change that,
Yeah.
like how I would fix it, and I've spent, you know, time, usually when I'm running.
Right, thinking about that?
Thinking
Yeah.
about that, and I can't come up with a good solution. I don't know what would be enough of a, like, there's a fine line of, like, deterring people from filing lawsuits,
Yeah.
and also assuming that insurance companies aren't going to just raise premiums just because they can.
Yeah, or just pay the claim and pull out of the
Yeah.
market just because they can.
Yeah.
You know, so it's an interesting state that we live in with these laws, because again, everybody asks me, of my clients of mine, they're like, why can't you, you know, do something? And I'm like, well, it's really not up to me. It's up to the, it's up to changing the Constitution, you know, because that's where Title IV, you know, rests. Correct? I mean.
No, I mean, we can change parts of Title IV. That's, but the insurance statutes, which is not my thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's a completely different title that I don't really, it's very complicated.
I think the big problem would be correcting or changing knowingly intoxicated.
Obviously intoxicated.
Obviously intoxicated. yeah.
Obviously intoxicated. I mean, it's defined in statute,
Yeah.
so you should be able. You know, they have to display physical signs of intoxication.
Yeah.
So, that's a hard one,
It is a hard one. It's very broad.
and it doesn't always happen at the time of service.
Right.
That's what's really hard. Is that you could serve that. You know, you could serve that table another round. As a server, you can leave, not come back for 20 minutes, and you come back and you're like, oh, okay.
What happened?
What happened here?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Why have you guys all lost your minds?
No, I know. It's totally crazy.
You know, and the reality is that people mix stuff all the time.
Yes.
So that makes it even harder to figure out.
I would agree to that. Yeah. And especially if they're walking in and they can hold their alcohol differently than others.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what's going on. I
No,
mean, it's,
no.
yeah.
People are fascinating.
Yes, they are. Are there any, this may or may not be totally part of your world, but it kind of is. I mean, what would you assume are the biggest violations that you see as far as people getting from the Department of Liquor?
Probably underage service.
Yeah.
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 That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens all the time, and it's easy to catch. It's very black and white. You know,
Right.
you just go into a place, you know, wherever in Scottsdale, Tempe.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, so who shouldn't be in here? You know.
Yeah. Most people, maybe they card, maybe they don't, or maybe they don't, or they're not trained. I mean, training's a huge aspect of.
It is.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, you give a lot of trust to your employees. So, and that's a big deal. And
Yeah.
it's really hard. But I think most people card. I think the problem is that fake IDs are really good.
Yeah.
Like, they're not, you know, remember when we used to, like, you know, print them out and, like, go to, like, a laminate
I never did
machine?
that. I was a good boy. I didn't drink till I was 20s, 30s. I don't know. But yeah, I know what
Yes.
you're saying. Yeah, it was easier to do back then.
Yeah, it was, you know, and they were obviously
Yeah.
like no bartender would be like, "Oh, this is a real ID."
Yeah, just go in, right.
No,
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Get out of here. This
Dude, that's
is not
hilarious.
this is not going to happen." But now they look no different than our ID.
Yeah.
Although nobody wants to be our age. on an ID.
No, of course not. So that's funny. All right. Well, very cool. So I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Let's go.
You ready?
Yeah.
Fruit or veggies?
Fruit.
What's your favorite fruit?
Blueberries.
Ooh, that's my wife's favorite. She loves blueberries. Cinnamon toast or Lucky Charms?
Neither.
You can pick. What's your favorite cereal then?
I don't know. I just sort of eat muesli.
Muesli. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You are in your 40s.
Yeah,
For the digestive system. Aliens or Bigfoot?
Who I want to encounter?
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Okay. That's
He
good.
lives in the woods.
He does live in the woods,
Yeah.
and I know you like the woods. See, get a little space. Serena or Venus?
Serena.
Okay.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Yeah. Talked about that. Nap or go see a movie?
Nap.
Sedona or Napa?
Sedona.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going there tomorrow
Oh, nice.
to go see a guy that teleports an alien in. His name's Bashar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm weird.
Are you going to go hiking?
I'm weird like that. Yeah, I'm going to go to Bell Rock and see if I can't get probed. We'll see. Yeah,
Okay.
hike a little bit. Okay, hockey game or a beer festival?
Beer festival.
Okay, yeah. I know you're always at all the beer festivals.
I am. My clients are all at.
They're all at the beer festivals,
Yeah, they're all
too.
at the beer festivals too.
That's
They're
so-
great fun.
That's awesome. All right, so if I'm going to promote you, what do you want people to know about you, or where to go, or like
Oh.
you got a website, you got
No.
social media,
No.
you got anything?
I feel like if you need to find me, you will.
I like that.
Yeah.
You're just gonna Google you.
Yes.
So we're gonna
and
put
you will find me.
We're gonna put you in show notes, and if people need
Yeah.
what you do, they're gonna
Yes.
find you, or I'm just gonna refer you over.
Absolutely. And I'll take this opportunity to. So my brother, sister-in-law, and my husband and I, we are opening a new wine and beer shop by the end of the year in Chandler.
Really?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, that's kick-ass.
It
Did you ever
is.
think you'd get into the business?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I mean, my brother and my sister-in-law own a restaurant, Mingle and Gray's, and
Yeah.
we're going to do Spin the Bottle around the corner.
That's a great idea. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're really excited. We signed the lease. We have everything
Nice.
moving forward. So fingers crossed.
We'll have to-
We'll
yeah.
be open by the end of the year.
We'll have to get all of you in here and talk about
Yes.
that. That'd be fun.
It will be.
Okay. Well, cool. You heard it here first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
Excellent.
much.
This is now news DELO. So, all right. Well, very cool. Well, thank you for coming. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me. This
Yeah.
was great fun.
It's always fun to hang out with friends and talk. So,
Yeah.
thank you everybody for listening to On the DELO, sponsored by me and Bar Restaurant Insurance, my own company. Yeah, please give it a 5-star. Check out some of the older episodes. And other than that, I hope everybody's having a great day. Peace out.